Welcome, everybody. It is another episode of No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am Joshua Hudson, which means that there is no Joe Zolo this week. He is off with our alma mater, Full Sail University in Orlando, doing some big speaking engagement. So we had to call up the star relief pitcher to take his place. Yes, that means the young fantasy mind himself, Hutchinson Brown, is here hosting with us. And because we always have a guest with us during the summers and the off-season shows, we've got another guest with us, Britt Flinn, the newest member of the Fantasy Alarm team. We are here to talk about the tight end landscape in the NFL heading into the 2022 season, plus a whole bunch of other stuff that kind of happened in the last couple of days. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stick around, guys.
Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm going to be your host tonight, Brown. Joe Zolo is unfortunately slacking off once again, so I'm going to be here hosting, and we've got a fantastic show today. As Joshua said in the intro, we have a lot of different NFL breaking news here that have happened over the week, and then we are going to jump into these free agent tight ends. A lot of them have actually been tagged, so there's not so many names left. So like 85 to 90% of the show is going to be breaking news because of how crazy it's been this week. But we've got a fantastic show, and we've got some awesome guests. Please welcome on Britt Flinn at Britt_Flinn on Twitter, Ryan Weiss at the Fantasy 5, and Joshua Hudson at the One Hudsonian. I'm at TYFM NFL. I'm just very excited for this show, guys. Britt, how you feeling?
I'm good. Like, it's so good to finally meet you and do a show with you. I've been a big fan of yours for the past year since you busted onto the fantasy space, and it's really cool to share a pod with you. So welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Ryan, how you feeling tonight?
Always good. This is my third show with Britt now. We had her on the DFS show twice, and so I know she's going to bring the heat, and she's way smarter than all three of us combined. So it's going to be a really good show. So
Probably. What's going on, Joshua?
Oh, I'm tired. I'm coming off a very, very long day at work, and I know Britt can relate to bartending doubles and 14-hour days. So,
my God, I'm coming off.
But hey, I'm here, and we're talking football, and that's always fun for me.
Coming off like 8 hours of playing Elden Ring on PS5. It's been a really hard day.
Shut up, lazy ass. Jesus.
Before we get in the show today, guys, I did want to say, like, Club Fantasy. So about a year ago from today. So it's funny, if we would have had done a show together last week, it would have been on the exact date and the exact topic of the show that we did 1 year ago. And you got, Club Fantasy, I'm just so thankful. You guys had me on my first ever podcast before I even started my own, barely after I started my Twitter account. You guys, specifically Ryan, you DM'd me, invited me on the show. And I was telling you guys in the before the show started, like, I didn't really expect to talk much. I really expected you guys to carry me through it, but you threw me straight in the fire, and you asked me every single question first, and I loved every minute of it. It caught me a bit off guard, but I loved every single minute of it. And you guys
look at you now, hosting the shows,
yeah,
driving the conversation.
I've hosted this show a bunch of times over the summer. I've hosted the show a bunch of times over the summer. I've gotten to meet some amazing people, and I'm just so thankful for you guys being such a supportive group over my journey. And Joe, if you are listening, I really appreciate you too, man. You got the Club Fantasy FFL family have just been so awesome to me, and I really appreciate you guys.
And Joe, if you are listening, you suck.
Yeah, you're slacking off, Joe. Come on, man. All right, so you guys want to jump into this NFL news?
Let's do it.
I love this little family that we have.
I can almost hear Joe cussing from here.
I don't really care. I'm not going to do it.
I was going to say, no, Hutch told us that his high school is gang territory, so we're allowed to say whatever we want on
yesterday we had a whole fight with like 200 kids in the middle of the street.
There you go.
That's what happened. So, I'm kind of used to that kind of stuff. But all right, let's get into this NFL news. So this Tuesday, this has been a crazy Tuesday, but it all kind of started on Monday when it was announced that Calvin Ridley has been suspended for at minimum or at least the 2022 season for betting on NFL games. So, I mean, he's going to be gone. Again, like, so how are we approaching this? Like, from a dynasty perspective, like, are we trying to buy low? Do you think he ever comes back the same? Like, are we just out on Calvin Ridley? He will be 28 heading into next year. He will turn 29, I believe, that December of the 2023 season. So he's getting up there in age. He's not a super young guy. So how are we approaching Calvin Ridley in dynasty? Britt, I'll start with you.
See, it's not an age thing for me. It's the fact that I think that the NFL wanted to make an example out of him because they know that he's not the only one to do this, right? Like everybody's been betting under the table. We don't have any evidence of this, but Ridley was the one who used his personal account to bet mobily online in Florida. It's fully traceable.
Wasn't his middle name Calvin Ridley from the Falcons?
It was like the real Calvin Ridley or something like that. Like very, very obvious, just crazy. And I mean, yeah, the amount was only $1,500 on 3 parlays. He did bet He did bet like for his team to win. He wasn't playing. He didn't have any insider information. But the fact remains that it is a cornerstone of the NFL CBA that you are not to bet whatsoever on the sport. I think the NFL took him and made an example of it, especially in this day and age where betting has become so prevalent and such a part of the NFL culture. And I'm kind of worried that it might be like a Pete Rose situation where he might never come back.
It's fair. First, I want to talk about his user ID. Can we just talk about how the talented Mr. Ridley was just staring him right in the face and he didn't take it? Moron. But anyway, that is a terrifying thing. I'm going to stick with the fact that it's one season, and it's going to come down to if I'm a contending team, I don't care. I have him on 2 contending teams. I'll shop him if I get the right offer. If I'm a team that's not contending, I'll buy him on the cheap right now if someone's scared, because what's the worst that could happen? We know he's the talented Mr. Ridley. We know he can play football. So I'm not worried about what he's going to do when he comes back. I'm not worried about him after another year off. We've seen Josh Gordon come back after years off and play decent football. And Ridley, I mean, honestly, they were probably about the same age when this sort of thing happened. So you would hope he's going to have his head, because Josh Gordon had problems way bigger than gambling off the field. But the real question is, when you put out a tweet that says, I'll bet you $1,500 that I don't have a gambling problem,
yeah.
Do you have a gambling problem? And then what happens when they find strike 2 and strike 3 during this season? That's going to be the much bigger issue.
Yeah.
And so to Britt's point, I'm not paying a lot for him. That's for damn sure. And you might even end up getting him to cut him after a cut down days start to happen after these rookie picks come in, because people are going to have to release someone, and maybe they release the wide receiver who's not going to do a damn thing for him this season, because most IRs aren't going to let him go on the IR. So
I'll answer your question very succinctly, Hutch. I have Calvin Ridley in 1 league. Let me scratch that. I had Calvin Ridley in 1 league. Literally traded him today for DJ Chark and a 2023 4th-round pick.
Wow.
Get rid of the headache. I don't want to deal with it.
So I'm going to be honest.
Wow.
If I
might take that trade at this point. I might take it.
Wouldn't. So I wouldn't.
It's close. It's close.
That trade. But I would say that's a trade I would offer for.
Yeah.
I mean, I was initially offered Lazard and a 3rd. Like I put him on the block. I messaged in the group chat on Sleeper. I was like, for a 3rd, he's yours. They sent me Allen Lazard and the 310. It's a super flex league. I'm like, Allen Lazard is nothing. And I'm like, 310. All right, whatever. I go through, look at his roster. He's got DJ Chark. DJ Chark is the ultimate wild card throw, right? At this point, isn't Calvin Ridley kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
At this point, because I mean,
like, so at least this way, I'm getting potential production this year from Chark, and we know he's got talent. He already has a 1,000-yard season on his record. Maybe he does again with a new team. Who knows?
I think I know your answer for this one, Joshua, based on you'd take him for a 3rd. But Ryan and Britt, I saw a specific dynasty trade done a couple days ago, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. I wasn't involved in it, but I did see a dynasty trade where it was Calvin Ridley straight up for the 2.08 in a super flex in 2022 super flex league. I saw that trade done. Would you take the 2.08 or would you take Calvin Ridley?
208 works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so much uncertainty surrounding it. Plus the fact that, Atlanta was shopping him until they got this info that he was being investigated. So you don't know what team he's going to end up on.
Yeah, I think I would take that trade too. I think once you get to the third round, that's where I start to like, okay, I'll just keep him. I'll just hold on to him, throw him at the back of my bench and see what happens.
Yep, it works.
I think that's where I'll go. All right, so let's talk about the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, this trade, unbelievable. The Broncos, and Russell Wilson tweeted out like goodbye Seattle. Like he tweeted out goodbye to Seattle. So this looks like it's going to be official. This is going to happen. So the Broncos have acquired Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. And so tight end Noah Fant and quarterback Drew Lock are headed to Seattle, as is defensive lineman Shelby Harris. Yeah. And the Broncos gave 2 firsts, including this year's 9th overall pick, 2 seconds. And man, how does this affect, should we just go both sides of the ball and just talk about how it affects each side?
Go for it.
All right, Britt, so how does this affect, let's start with Seattle. How does this really affect Seattle?
Well, I think that Seattle actually got the better end of the deal if you want to talk about a rebuild, that kind of situation. But historically, you have to look at how Seattle has handled their draft. Seattle has not historically drafted well. It's going to be very interesting with what they're going to do with this 9th overall pick. And just as a side note, like how sad for Noah Fant. Like you think you're finally going to get a quarterback in Denver.
Oh, yeah.
Then you realize you're being traded to Seattle. And then you're like, well, who's my quarterback going to be? And then it's like, oh, Drew Lock again.
Your buddy Drew
It's
Lock.
just, it's such a bummer. Everybody's like, I've seen a lot of this stuff on Twitter saying that, Fant's athleticism is there and he's a good tight end, which he is. But if you look at the usage since Pete Carroll came in, they do not utilize their tight ends, and they really haven't since Jimmy Graham was there. And especially with Drew Lock, I just feel very bad for Fant.
Yeah, this definitely sucks.
How much does
this plummet DK and Lockett for you? Because I've seen some ridiculous trades for DK right now. I've seen some trades where I'm like, how would someone sell this? How would someone not take DK, sell DK?
It's a two-headed monster with DK because, first of all, they should be a bad team and have to throw a lot. Locke does have a monster arm. It could be great for DK. But they immediately released Bobby Wagner. I think this shows the kind of mode they're in, and DK has already been a trade rumor. I don't know that DK is a Seattle Seahawk when past the draft. Really, yeah, I think he could end up moving as well. But I want to go back to the tight end thing because a lot of people got on Alberto, and a lot of people aren't sure what to do with Fant. You're looking at a Seattle system that Britt said expertly doesn't utilize the tight end very well. Now you're going with a Russell Wilson who's not used to utilizing the tight end into a Green Bay system that does not utilize the tight end. This love for Alberto, the entire coaching staff in Denver is from Green Bay.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
So I don't love this for either tight end where people are leaping Alberto into their top 10. I will be by far probably the lowest consensus on Alberto come draft time. So.
And not to mention, you've got Sutton, you've got Judy, you've got KJ Hamler, you've got Patrick. The actual target share that he's going to be dealing with is outrageous.
Well, when you look at Tunyon's best year was his 12 touchdowns.
Literally about to say that.
60.
Yeah, you're essentially hoping for Robert Tonyan touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That's what you're hoping for.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping for with Alberto.
I mean, you love the talent. He's uber athletic. 3rd round draft capital, which is good for a tight end. And then, kind of projecting out in Dynasty. I mean, this offense is going to funnel through Sutton. It's going to funnel through Judy. It's going to funnel through Javonte. You're looking for high efficiency targets at that point. And, Russ has the ability. He can scramble. He can extend plays, get open. Those types of plays, they will favor downfield threats like an Alberto.
This is shaping up to be a Green Bay system. They have everything in place. And I don't know that we're going to have a Devontae Adams type target share. And I don't even know which of the 2 wide receivers it would be. But I think you're going to Sutton. Well, I'm going to say, I don't think it is going to be a Devontae Adams type target share, but I think Sutton take those deep shots that Adams takes, but then I think you're going to see Judy take those underneath routes that Adam takes, where you're going to see sort of a morphing of the two into one Devontae Adams. And let's be honest, it would take both of those guys to be one Devontae Adams. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a split between those two guys. Sutton getting more of a deep game work, and Judy getting more of the shorter passing game work. And what happens with Tim Patrick here? What happens with Tim Patrick? I mean, they extended Tim Patrick for some decent money. Are we just throwing him in the garbage? Are we just done?
I don't think we throw him in the garbage, but
No, I'm hoping he can do something.
it's interesting. I think that they only extended him because they did have the cap space. KJ Hamler did tear his ACL. They wanted to make sure to lock him in because I think that they did have this plan coming into this offseason that they were going to do something to improve their quarterback situation.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that they wanted to have a core of wide receivers already locked in so that they did have that leverage whenever they went to trade talks with these specific quarterbacks that would lure them in.
I'm going to disagree with Britt here. I am a notorious hater of Green Bay wide receivers not named Devontae Adams, and I'm just carrying that over to Denver now. I'm not going to touch any ancillary piece in this offense whatsoever. Give me all the Javonte Williams I can get. I'll take Sutton and Judy if they're not overpriced, but I think they will be overpriced. So if I get Williams, I'll be willing to overpay for Williams. I would love to get a hold of Russell Wilson. I think he's going to be amazing in this offense, but I'm staying away from the wide receivers.
I would just like to point out in a 1 QB dynasty league, I swung this trade about a month ago. I traded Kyler Murray for Russell Wilson and the 109, and I look like a freaking genius right now.
Yeah. So Kyler Murray's ready to play nice.
Somebody
now.
call Mensa.
Yeah, after Aaron Rodgers got paid, Kyler Murray put Arizona back into his Twitter profile or whatever he did.
Oh man,
good times.
Drama.
He's like, oops, the drama's not working for Aaron Rodgers. It's not working for these people. Like, oops.
yeah.
Actually, I think it's because Mina Kimes completely burned them with his baseball picture yesterday. That was
there you go.
Super savage.
She forced the hand.
It was absolute savage. All right, do we want to move on here to this Wentz trade? All right, so let's move on.
Spend about 2 seconds on this one.
Yep.
The Commanders, formerly known as the Washington Football Team, acquired Colts quarterback Carson Wentz. They're swapping 2 seconds in 2022. Washington also receives a 2022 third and a conditional 2023 third, and becomes a second if Wentz plays 70% of snaps. Kind of similar to what the Eagles and the Colts did with their trade, as long as Wentz plays a certain amount of snaps. Britt, how does this affect this offense? Because I've got a pretty strong opinion on how it affects this offense.
Well, for one, I want to say that even though on the face it looks like the Colts won this deal, you have to remember what they gave to Philly to even get Wentz in the beginning. Pick. Like, it's so dumb.
They gave him a first rounder.
Like, right. Dude, it's literally been, I think, since 2015, the Colts have had a different starting quarterback every single season. And Frank Reich isn't going to stick with him for one more season. Like, oh, you guys realize that you bit off too big of a contract to chew, and now you're just ready to get rid of him. And that's exactly what it is. I don't think that, as much as you want to buy into the revenge narrative, like, oh, cool, he gets to play Philly twice and he gets the Colts on his season, like revenge games, rah. No, it's not going to be great. I think
with the killer instinct of Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think that Terry McLaurin dips significantly in value. On the flip side, I think that Logan Thomas comes up. I do. I don't think that.
Really?
Well, if you look at how Wentz utilized Ertz back in Philadelphia, he didn't use the long ball. He used a lot of those short, kind of low A-dot passes, and Zach Ertz was a big beneficiary of it. So was Dallas Goedert. So I think, if Logan Thomas comes back healthy, he's going to be the beneficiary of it. I don't think Wentz is like a gunslinger.
Well, I was just going to say 2 quick things. I didn't expect to be disagreeing with Britt again, but it's the best quarterback Terry McLaurin's ever had. I don't know how he can go down at this point.
Yeah, he can't go down, but I don't see him being a superstar like some people may try to.
But he's never been. And I've made that argument last year that he's a top 24 wide receiver, top 10 on good days, but never for a season. And that's what it comes down to. So I wouldn't say the dip. And what I will say is, I'm just going to repeat what I said in the Club Fantasy chat. The Indianapolis Colts have been an absolute mess since Andrew Luck's retirement. They've never been able to recover. And I just hope, against all hope, that my guy, Jonathan Taylor, survives this turbulence, because it's going to get ugly. So
just let him throw the ball too.
Might as well.
Wentz tends to fixate on one receiver, and one receiver and a tight end, right? In Philly, it was Ertz and it was Alshon. You essentially have that set up here with Washington.
Indy, it was Michael Pittman. He didn't really focus on
exactly. So you had Pittman and nobody else, because they didn't really have a good tight end.
And Jonathan Taylor.
If Logan Thomas comes back from this injury, because again, he is older, coming back from what is it, an ACL or
I think it was an
ankle or some
ACL
kind of
yeah.
injury or something. I
I'll
mean,
look it up. I think
anytime you suffer those types of injuries older, gets a little bit harder to start coming back from that stuff. So, you know, and Logan Thomas wasn't the best tight end. He was just a good enough tight end in a good tight end system.
Yep.
Yeah, Logan Thomas torn ACL.
Okay. So, I mean, this could be an instance where Washington could look. I understand that they paid Logan Thomas, so I don't know that they're going to rush to like get one of these like top available guys. And I use that term very loosely because I don't think there are very many more top available guys here at tight end because they all got franchise tag. But they need to do what Philly and Indy refuse to do. Get Wentz a legitimate number 2. He needs somebody else to look off of if McLaurin isn't.
Well, they're not going to give up on Samuel yet, though. It was a bad year for him. I'm sure they're going to treat him like that. So,
And they still have De'Ami Brown too.
They do.
yeah, Josh, you like De'Ami Brown.
I do, but I think his role in the NFL is going to be deep threat. It's basically MVS. That's it.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah,
I will say Michael Pittman had a better season last year than McLaurin has had in the NFL. So,
yeah. And I just want to throw, my thoughts on this offense. Now, I think, honestly, I really see this offense being a complete disaster. Like, I really do. I mean, this Washington O-line's much worse than the Colts offensive line. You know, we saw Wentz with that Philadelphia O-line in his last season and what he was trying.
Somebody mute Hutch.
I'm guessing his mic fell out. There we go.
You good?
You're better now?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, Wentz tried to play Superman the whole time, and he would just get sacked, just take sack after sack. And, I mean, the receiving core is an elite in Washington. As you said, there's no trustworthy 100% number 2 guy there. And the run game is not even close to Jonathan Taylor at this point. Antonio Gibson is not Jonathan Taylor. So I see this offense being a complete disaster, and I don't trust anyone. I really can't trust anyone at this point. I really don't see a world where anyone jumps into the elite category in this offense. So I'm probably going to be staying away.
Well, and Wentz has kind of fought against that injury-prone tag his entire career, aside from last season as well. And we'll get to see it this season. Can he stay healthy with
he played all 17 this past year.
Yep.
Yeah, but the Colts were arguably a top 3 offensive line.
Yeah.
So if you go back to a subpar O-line, how's that going to affect him?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be 2020 Philly all over again. I really just see him just trying to play Superman the whole time and just taking sacks.
Yeah, it was the pressure. Well, wasn't the stat? No, you got to remember, though, the stat that year in Philadelphia was that he was better under pressure than no pressure. When there was no pressure in the pocket, he was missing every damn throw or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and when he misses high, which is very dangerous for wide receivers.
He misses high. Yeah, that's dangerous for the wide receivers. All right, so let's move on to some new contracts. Right, quarterback Aaron Rodgers reportedly agrees to a 4-year, $200 million deal to remain in Green Bay. 153 of it guaranteed. 153 million of it. $153, but 153 million guaranteed. I don't think he deserves this money. I really don't think he deserves this money at all. But that's a discussion for another day. And another player I don't think deserves the money he got. Mike Williams signed a 3-year, $60 million contract to return the Chargers.
The Chargers had cap space to blow.
Yeah,
$40 million of it guaranteed. So yeah, the Chargers took advantage of their cap space and absolutely spent up to keep Mike Williams on the team.
Hutch drinking his hair.
I don't think so, though. No, I don't think. I think that the way that they structured this contract,
guys deserve their contracts.
No, Aaron Rodgers. No, he's going to be 42 by the time the contract is over.
Yeah, I don't think. I think
get
this
that
is
old.
a really good deal for Green Bay.
Yeah, but with Mike Williams, I mean, they front loaded the contract to where this first year is $28 million on the front end. He's going to remain with Justin Herbert throughout the duration of Justin Herbert's rookie contract. You can't really put into words how much it matters to have that rapport with your receivers as a young quarterback. So he's likely going to keep Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. So his 3 key pieces throughout his tenure on his rookie contract in the crazy AFC West division, which is going to be competitive. They needed to spend up to keep these key pieces and to keep that rapport going with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I feel like they could have let him go and gotten a cheaper free agent wide receiver that it could have been better than my.
But then you lose that rapport, is what
then
I'm
you
saying.
do lose that rapport. That's fair.
And Williams had a career season in Herbert's sophomore season last year. So there's, nowhere to go but up.
Quickly throw out for Aaron Rodgers. Everyone says it's a bad deal. They needed to do something to bring him back to the table. This got him back to the table. They now have arguably the best quarterback in the NFC. The NFC has no quarterbacks. They're all in the AFC at this point. They did what they needed to do to keep Aaron Rodgers their quarterback and not Jordan Love. So you guys say bad contract for the Packers. I say wonderful contract for the Packers.
And now the question begs, what do they do with Jordan Love?
Yeah.
They should trade him.
I mean, at this point, you have to, right?
You have to trade him.
Yeah, you just said you're not playing for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what they do with Devontae Adams and if they're going to extend him to a longer contract because they did tag him, right?
Franchised him,
yeah, they tagged him. All right, so let's move
But
on.
He's big mad about that franchise tag, though.
Yep.
So who knows if he wants to pursue a deal with them after they tagged him.
All right, and then Harold Landry signed a 5-year, $87.5 million deal to remain with the Titans, $52.5 million guaranteed. It's a very similar deal to what Tennessee gave their past free agent pass rusher Dupree a year ago. And because Ryan thinks kickers are people too, and we want Lynn to keep coming to the show, Panthers gave kicker Zane Gonzalez. There's a typo in here. Someone ended Zane Gonzalez's name with an X. Who was
Spanish,
that?
And I can't
Who
even
put together this one? Joshua. All right, nice job there. A 2-year, $4.5 million deal. And then with the trade of Russell Wilson, Seattle decided it was time to hit reset, and they released Bobby Wagner. We mentioned Ryan did mention it earlier, but they released him. He's gone from the team. And we got some franchise tag updates. The franchise tag deadline was Tuesday, and here are the list of people who got tagged. So left tackle Orlando Brown Jr., tight end David Njoku, Jesse Bates, Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, and Cam Robinson. So let's go to the combine reactions. What are your biggest takeaways from the combine, Britt?
So I have thoughts on this, so please bear with me.
Okay.
So first of all, I have to address the elephant in the room, right? Like Kieran Williams, everybody thought he was going to crush. His film looked great. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and he literally ran a 4.65 40 time, which was the slowest of all 27 running backs.
And he's a lighter back too, right? Isn't he?
And
he like 190?
He was under 200 pounds, which is also a concern. Yeah. And his broad jump and vertical left a lot to be desired. And with as talented a running back class as is in this draft this season, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of emphasis these NFL execs place. Are they going to place an emphasis on his combine performance, or are they going to place an emphasis on his film? Because his film, he looks really great. And we all know that, the underwear Olympics aren't really indicative of NFL performance. But, a 4.65 is just really rough. Yeah. Second, I want to address Treylon Burks, because being here in Arkansas, I kind of have to. Him running a 4.55 left some people underwhelmed. All I have to say is don't be.
Nope.
As I said, with Kieran Williams, the combine doesn't really translate into on-the-field success. And Burke showed elite speed at over 22 miles an hour on the field in full pads. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be fine. And finally, since Joe isn't here, I'm going to have to jump in and be like the resident IDP person, right? So holy shit, these big men are fast. Yeah. These defensive linemen are fast. Like Jordan Davis and Trevin Walker.
Oh my God, Jordan Davis.
They smoked their 40s.
He nearly ran faster than Kyron Williams.
Yes. And
I'm going to be very upset if Jordan Davis isn't a Los Angeles Charger. They need that big body in the middle of that defense.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Oh my God.
That just completely blew my mind.
That was unbelievable. I saw that one live.
Yeah, they were so amazing. But something else that I also think is interesting with the defensive linemen is that Kavon Thibodeaux opted out of the drills after his 40 and after one more set, saying something to the effect of the day was too long. Yeah. So I wonder, if that's the kind of work ethic that he's going to bring to the NFL, how far that drops him. I think the mock that I did last night, I still have him in the top 10, but he was projected, a month ago to be top 3. So how much does that drop him?
Yeah.
There was talk as early as last season that he would be the number 1 pick.
Right.
So my only question is, did it come from him? Did it come from an agent saying something to him about already knowing what's going on and not doing anything dumb at this point? So there's a lot that could have went in there, but the excuse that was used, the day being too long, was awful for his rep at this point. So
real bad look.
Yep. I'm just going to hit on, first of all, Jordan Davis. My God, I didn't know I could have a favorite defensive player in the draft this early, but yes, please, wherever he ends up, I'll be a fan. I don't think Breece Hall did anything to hurt himself. I'm real interested to see where he ends up. I think Breece Hall.
I've said it on Twitter before, but I think Breece Hall's my clear RB1 of this class. I think he's a future superstar. I'm all in on Breece Hall. I think it's officially he's like my guy of this class. It's Breece Hall.
And I try not to fall into the Al Davis syndrome, but Sky Moore certainly raised some eyebrows, and I'm real interested to see what he does too, because he didn't just look fast; he looked good in the drills as well. So all in all, I'm excited by a lot of guys in this class. I'm notorious for trading away my dynasty picks, but I do have way more first rounders than I should this year. I might actually hold on to a few of them, see which one of these guys shakes out for me. So,
yeah, and that's been the big knock on this class in terms of like quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Like it's not deep like it's been, the past couple of years. From what little bit I caught of the combine, I'm really not that worried about Kenny Pickett's hand size. Malik Willis looks like a star in the making.
Malik Willis.
Hey, I got small hands too, all right?
I measured my hands because I was bored the day that Kenny Pickett's hands got measured. I have the same hand size as Kenny Pickett, just in case anybody wants to reference.
Well, I want to draft you now. So
I'm telling you.
First round pick, Britt Flinn, baby, right here. Let's go. The sky's the limit for Malik Willis. I think some team is going to get a really good player. I just hope that they are patient with him. He has a lot to learn. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, those are my 2 guys. I was in on both of them after watching Kenneth Walker just absolutely shred my Miami Hurricanes this past season. I'm all about it. I'm in. Those to me are the clear top 2 guys. Spiller not running, I thought was a little disappointing because he's that third guy that's in the mix, but apparently he's dealing with some kind of injury. I don't know what to think of Treylon Burks at this point. I really don't. And Britt, I know you mentioned it. His pro day was today, Wednesday, and I know it was very close to the combine, which I thought was a little strange too. He decided not to run again, which I'm fine with. 4.55 speed for any player is solid, but vertical, not even 36 inches. 12 reps on the bench. He's 225. Like, I feel like he should be able to do more than 12 reps. But yeah, I feel like there's times when I watch him and I'm like, damn, this guy's really good. And then other times I'm like, I really wanted more out of that play. And I feel that way about a lot of these wide receivers. Like when I watch Garrett Wilson, I feel like he uses his body way more than he should, which is
that
really
hop
disturbing.
Up when he was doing the straight. Oh,
yeah, when he was doing the gauntlet, I'm like,
jumping?
dude, why are you throwing your arms and legs all like it's like what is going on?
You're in a chorus line.
Yeah,
he was like jumping, right? He was the one that was like jumping every catch, right?
Yes, I'm like, why are you jumping to catch?
I was
like
he's excited.
I was like on that time. I think I was like on my phone scrolling Twitter or something, and I just saw in the corner of my eye like a guy like jumping, and it looks so weird. I was like, what are you doing, dude?
I understand the concept of it. It's kind of similar to like when Rodgers, when he lines up to throw, he always kind of does that jump step. So he's not planted. So that way, when people like lunge at his legs, he avoids that leg injury. So I'm wondering if that's going into Wilson's head, because you see this a lot, like receivers, running backs, they will get blown up on their legs when they're in the open field, because that's just the first line of area that the defenders can hit because they can't go high anymore. So I'm wondering if that plays into it, but it does. It looks really strange and it feels unnecessary. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I didn't really get much time to look at the tight ends, but yeah, those are just my quick thoughts.
Well, yeah, sorry. Can I just respond about Burks?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I do realize like the hesitancy based on his combine numbers. But I'm just going to tell you, like, as an Arkansas fan who's watched him in every single game, who's watched him literally 2 years in a row, the toughest schedule in college football for 2 years in a row. This guy gets it done. He plays through injury. He makes these plays. His highest PFF grade this season was against Alabama. I mean, if you can do anything in a pro-style offense, Treylon Burks can. Like, number's just a number, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited about him. I really am. I think he's got good length. He's got solid production. You know, again, you're looking at a lot of guys here that there is no perfect prospect. So there's going to be a lot of nitpicking and finding this and that. I mean, Drake London hurt, Jamison Williams hurt, David Bell hurt, Pickens hurt. A lot of these guys are coming off of injuries and
some serious ones too. Like,
some of them are more serious than others. Sure. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of wild cards here.
Yeah. He broke his ankle and fibula.
Yeah.
Before we get out of this and move on, I just want to throw out, if you love the rookie talk, starting March 30th, 4 consecutive weeks, we'll be talking incoming draft quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, just kind of how we did the free agency. That starts March 30th, so come back for that. So
yeah, I did want to add one last thought here, kind of like a fun fact, but I did like seeing Johann Dodson run the 4.43. It was I think that was pretty good. But also something about Johann Dodson. What?
Pretty good. Yeah, that's really fast, Hutch.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. But no, I actually like Johann Dodson went to Nazareth High School, and I go to Liberty High School, which is actually right next to Nazareth. So I got to actually watch him play in high school. Against Liberty. I got to watch him shred our high school, like rip our high school to shreds. But yeah, I think he's actually really good. I think he's being slept on a little bit with all these other top end receivers, but I really like Johann Dodson. And you guys kind of said a lot of who I really like. I like Malik Willis a lot. I really love Breece Hall. And one name that wasn't really mentioned, Chris Olave. You know, the 4.26
came out a lot
wasn't really real, but
I thought he would have.
The 4.26 wasn't really real, but the 4.39 is still very, very impressive. I like seeing that from him. I really like Chris Olave. All right, but let's move on here. We are going to the tight end free agents. Going to read through this list here.
I just quickly want to throw out this. We did a tight end recap show. Both of our tight end show, it took us more than 35 minutes to actually get to the tight ends because nobody wants to talk about tight ends.
Nobody
but
wants
anyway,
to talk
take it.
All right. So free agents.
Good thing you have a girl on the show who loves butts. So let's
go.
Wow. Okay. All right. So let's talk about free agent tight ends here, former teams and their fantasy finish. So Dalton Schultz, Dallas tight end 3, he was tagged, so no need to really worry about him right now. Zach Ertz, Philly and Arizona, tight end 5. Rob Gronkowski, Tampa Bay, tight end 7. Mike Gesicki, Miami, tied for tight end 8. Is that what that means? The tied for tight end 8. He got tagged by Miami. Tyler Conklin, Minnesota, tight end 16. Jared Cook, Los Angeles Chargers, tight end 18. CJ Ozuma, Cincinnati, tight end 19. Gerald Everett, tight end 21. That was from the Seattle Seahawks. David Njoku, Cleveland, tight end 22. He was tagged by the Cleveland Browns. Evan Ingram, New York Giants, tight end 23. Mo Alley Cox, Indianapolis, tight end 26. Anthony Ferkser, Tennessee, tight end 28. Geoff Swain, Tennessee, tied for tight end 32.
Jeff Swain.
Oh, I read that wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
sorry.
Geoff.
That's what I've never said that name out loud before, and when I said it, I was like, that sounds dumb. I was like, that sounds dumb. There's no way that was right.
I love it.
Oh man.
Oh, awesome. Hutch, you're adorable.
That was hilarious. I'm done.
It's the cutest.
I'm throwing it. Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end 34. Hayden Hurst, tight end 37. Kyle Rudolph, 41. Jimmy Graham, 48. Robert Tonyan, 49. O'Shaughnessy tied for him with 49. Will Dissly, 51. Michael Pruitt, 52. Max Williams, 55. Tyler Croft, 56. OJ Howard, 62. Eric Ebron, 64. Jacob Hollister, 69. And Chris Herndon, tight end 81.
Oh, wait. I do have something I know. So, wait. Like, Jeff Lambert. Is it pronounced Jeff?
Yes.
Like, you know Lambert on Twitter? I always pronounce it Geoff in my head.
You psycho.
It makes sense. It's right there. It's a GEO. Right? I suck at spelling and grammar and all that stuff. Oh
It's
my
amazing.
god. Oh,
All right, you're only 15. You got plenty of years to get better at it.
all right, Jeff. If you're watching, okay. So, Ryan, do you want to take the bottom 10 teams?
Yeah, I got it. So bottom 10 teams and tight end targets. Jets at 74 targets, 13% target share. Panthers at 75, 14%. Bengals at 77, 15%. Bills at 78, 13%. Saints 82, 18%. Rams 86, 15%. The Seahawks at 91 and 20%. The Packers at 92 and 17%. The Vikings at 93 and 16%. And then finally, the Washington Commanders, 97 targets, 18%. And I find it interesting. Most of these teams are looking for a tight end this year. So let's start with who you guys want to talk about. Britt, we'll, of course, start with you. Who do you want to talk about? Team, player? It's yours.
I think we've got to start with the Cardinals since literally all 4 of their tight ends are free agents. They made that move to trade for Zach Ertz in the middle of last season. I think it would really behoove the Cardinals to keep him. I understand the hesitancy to tag him, as it would have given him a pay increase of around $2 million, and Arizona is already trying to deal with some cap space issues. Damn, that's a tongue twister. But like I said, literally all 4 tight ends on their roster are set to be free agents. There's also Christian Kirk, AJ Green, James Conner, Chase Edmonds, like a whole litany of other people. They've got problems.
And they have like $2 million.
Yeah. So, and they released Jordan Hicks today, which is going to help the cap. But I think he did really well last season. So I'm kind of like, ooh, are you sure you want to do that? But anyway, an interesting thing about Ertz is that he commanded a 26.4% target share in the games with Kyler Murray where Hopkins was out. But when Hopkins came back in with Murray, it was only a 14.1%. Now, I think if they get rid of Kirk, if they get rid of AJ Green, that number is going to increase a little bit. But I think they have to keep Ertz. There's no way that you cannot keep Ertz after that trade. It'll be like the Colts trading away Wentz for what they gave up for him, you know?
From what I understand, all sides agree, though. I think Ertz will be back there. So
yeah,
I think he's always been a guy like he fits into a place like that's where he wants to stay. Like he never really wanted to leave Philly. It's just they got to a situation to where they weren't really going anywhere. They already had Goddard. There wasn't a need, and they had to pay Goddard. And there's no need to pay tight ends, 2 tight ends, top money, Browns. So it's like, why? And especially when you don't use them, Browns.
Especially 2 mediocre tight ends that you don't want to use. You don't want to pay them top money.
Exactly.
When you guys took mine, I'm just going to jump in real quick. Why the hell do you franchise tag David Njoku?
I know, that was the stupidest.
2 years after you give Austin Hooper the largest free agent contract of a tight end on day 1 of free agency, which was bad to begin with for that team, after spending an early pick on Njoku and never giving him a chance to develop, now all of a sudden you want him. You didn't trade him when you had the possibilities to trade him and get something from him. Not to mention Harrison Bryant, while it was a crappy tight end class, was the best tight end in that class coming out, and people wanted big things out of him, and you have him. What the hell are you doing? I understand Landry's probably gone. Are you just lining up 4 tight ends? Are you going to be the revolution of the NFL? It's a ridiculous signing. I saw someone say he's a value at $10 million. He's not. He's like a 60% catch guy. I don't think he's ever had more than 75 targets in a season. It's a ridiculous signing. It's a ridiculous signing by the Browns, and it's a signal that they still don't know what the hell they're doing. I thought pieces were in place with the addition of Landry. OBJ obviously didn't work out, but it was the right move to make at the time. This feels boneheaded and just bad. So.
See, I'm a fan of Njoku, like just going back to the Miami Hurricanes days. I think he's a very athletic tight end. If he's used correctly, he can be a huge weapon. But that's the problem. He's not used correctly. And this is a fun fact that I want to point out. So from that, I believe it was the 2017 tight end class where OJ Howard, Evan Ingram, and David Njoku went. I'm fairly certain that out of all 3 of those guys, first round picks, mind you, there was 1 combined tight end 1 season out of all of them.
And that was Ingram, his rookie year.
That was Ingram.
Yeah, that was Ingram his rookie year. That's not good.
Now, do you wonder if that's why everybody shies away from picking tight ends in the first round now?
Could very well be.
It really could. I don't know.
I mean, it certainly reflected that Harrison Bryant draft because those guys all went late as hell.
Yeah.
Because that was Alberto's year too. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I don't know. I thought that was really wild. Yeah, I know the Browns have an out with Hooper this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think
I won't be
they
surprised
made him
if
a
he's
post
not.
June 1st cut.
Yep.
So this could be an instance where they franchise tag Njoku and then run 2 tight ends with Njoku and Bryant and let Hooper go. But even then, I don't see Njoku being a viable fantasy asset unless he's utilized more in the red zone, which that's where Hooper had his weeks was they were using.
Well, I was going to say, in that situation, Harrison Bryant's jumping into the Hooper role, and Njoku is staying in his exact same role. So tight end 22 in fantasy. Congratulations. So,
yeah, Bryant got those one target, 1 touchdown games like
exactly
2 or 3 weeks. It was insane.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you already talked on Njoku. Is there anyone else that you're really interested in here to see where they go?
I'd say Britt definitely hit the nail on the head with Arizona.
Exactly.
I think that's a good one for me. We'll get it to the lightning round. So I guess the Jets, I was a little shocked to see how little they utilized the tight end, even though the tight end was absolute trash options that they have, because I was very big on Jets tight ends. I'm a very much a follow the system guy, and I thought the Jets would run a very San Francisco-esque system. They sort of did, but they certainly didn't with the tight end. So I don't know if they go get a guy this year and we see that change, or if it's just going to be a changing of the guard and maybe tight ends don't matter in that offense. So I'll be watching the Jet situation very closely to see what happens there.
Well, see, and this is like, and I feel like this is a very common misconception. Like, people associate the San Francisco system with being very tight end friendly because of George Kittle. Before Kyle Shanahan got George Kittle, when did he ever use the tight end?
Was Hooper's year not with him? No, he would have been in San Fran already.
Yeah, that was Sarkisian. So if I'm not mistaken, like I feel like they fell into Kittle. So Shanahan, being the innovative play caller that he is, said, we have somebody that we can build this offense around. So they went and they did that. We don't know if Mike LaFleur is that level of innovation. So I feel like we want to put a good tight end there, but this could just necessarily be a system where it's going to run through the wide receivers. And if they happen to land like a young tight end that they can utilize here and there, might have some spike weeks. But unless you get the next George Kittle, I don't think this is going to be a tight end friendly system. Just my opinion.
Sorry, I lost track. Which team were you talking about again? Were you talking about the Jets? Yeah,
Jets, where I falsely projected a lot of tight end usage.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the next name could talk about is Rob Gronkowski, but I think he's retiring. Do you guys think he's
I think he's got 3 options. Retirement and wrestling in the WWE and doing a bunch of commercials and movies. Cincinnati, because they're a contender. Or Buffalo, because they're a contender. I think literally those are it. It's 2 solid young quarterbacks, good situations where he can come in, have fun playing football, which we know that's what Rob Gronkowski likes, but he can also be effective because he's a really good blocker, and we know he's arguably the best offensive tight end in the NFL.
My concern with Gronk in Buffalo is there's a lot of vitriol with Gronk in Buffalo. I just don't know. I mean, obviously he's ring chasing if he's doing anything at this point. I just don't know that
one Gronk through a table and all's forgiven. Let's be honest.
And Gronk's the kind of guy to go through a table.
He was the 24/7 WWE champion. He'll go through a table, guys.
So here's my question.
I'm pretty sure his family's from upstate New York too.
I think they live in Buffalo. So you're absolutely right. But I'm going to throw one quick thing out. If Gronk is a Bill, are we seeing dildos on the field every home game at this point? Like,
I hope so.
Bro.
That was the best memeable moment.
We're out of Hutch's realm here now, guys.
That was awful.
I had to ask. I'm sorry. I know Hutch is on the show, but it's the first thing that came to mind for me. So.
Of course, yeah. No, I get it. I know.
It was just the best memeable moment.
It was hilarious. Man. It was pretty funny. But it was weird.
It's very weird. Very weird.
All right. And then I just want to throw in one player that I actually am interested in. We mentioned earlier in the show that I'm a fan of Gerald Everett. I'm going to be watching him closely. And you guys brought up the team, the Jets. I mean, I think the Jets could be an interesting landing spot for him to take over that tight end room. But if Zach Ertz were to leave Arizona, I feel like Gerald Everett to Arizona, I know it's in the same division, so that'd be a bit weird. But he's only played one season with Seattle, so it's not like there's a huge rivalry there. So I think Gerald Everett in Arizona, if Zach Ertz were to leave, I think that'd be
he played with the
interesting.
Rams too.
Or even in I think we talked about it before the show, but Gerald Everett in LA. Because Jared Cook's
Chargers,
probably gonna be leaving with the Chargers, yeah. I would like that. Yeah, that's
and with
you guys covered the rest of the names that I'm interested in.
I was
Evan
just gonna
Ingram
say with Fant going to Seattle, I mean that's bad news for Everett's hopes. I
Yeah, it
really
is.
don't see him staying on.
No,
especially
he's not.
because
He's
of
not. No way.
what we talked about, like
Well, is
how
he a free
Seattle doesn't
agent?
really utilize it.
He is a free
Yeah,
agent.
He's a free agent, yeah. So he's definitely not re-signing.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way they're going to re-sign him. But any other names you guys want to throw out? I mean, Evan Ingram, we all hate. I hate him.
I said there are landing spots. I was going to talk about him in the lightning round. I'm going to.
You
throw out a
were,
name
yeah.
that-
We have it. I mean, we actually have a landing spot that we're interested
Yep.
in. For
I'm going to say this though. There's a free agent that makes somebody else better, and it's someone I want people to keep an eye on. He was a guy I was touting last year. With James O'Shaughnessy likely not in Jacksonville, but even if he is, watch out for Dan Arnold. Dan Arnold played out of the slot a
Love
ton.
this one.
Doug Peterson loves tight ends. Dan Arnold's a guy that they're going to be able to lean on to help develop Trevor Lawrence.
Dan Arnold was great in the season too. Like before he got that injury, he was great, and he was like just so consistent, like putting up like 10 points every week and never scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's exactly his target share is through the roof. And I don't see, we talked about this with the wide receiver show. There's not a ton of wide receiver depth in Jacksonville at all. Arnold could be in the slot quite a bit and could be a very good tight end next year for fantasy purposes. So not quite a tight end, but he's helped by nobody signing there.
Yeah, and I also
I want to.
Okay.
Before we go on, there's two teams actually that I want to point out here. One being the Giants with the scheme change and obviously losing Evan Ingram, and they released Kyle Rudolph, and then the Titans. Now that we talked, all of us on this show were huge Jonnu Smith fans. Love Jonnu Smith. He ends up leaving. Some of us thought that maybe Anthony Firkser might take a leap. Nothing. The Titans were an absolute mess last year, but if there's any remnants left,
I still can't
from that
believe
Arthur
they were
Smith
the number one
system,
seed in the AFC.
I still can't believe it. It's
I still
baffling to me.
I don't
especially when
believe
Derrick
that.
Henry only played half the season.
Is it?
But like they almost forgot about the tight end position after Jonnu left. This could be a situation where maybe they look to bring in somebody because again, Swaim, Pruitt, and Firkser, all three of them are free agents. This is a very similar situation to the Cardinals where they could very easily have a brand new tight end room. We don't know what's going to come from that. With the Giants, Brian Dable, they didn't utilize the tight end much in Buffalo. We saw Dawson Knox finally get involved this year, but very much like Tunyon, this was a high efficiency type usage where Dawson Knox scored a lot of touchdowns, but didn't see a ton of targets. So I'm wondering if maybe they look to bring in somebody that can work in line as a blocker, but then be used in those red zone instances because this is a weak offensive line as well. And I think these are going to be two teams, the Titans and the Giants, where people might forget that quality tight end play could come from there. And then a couple of weeks they spike and you're like, why weren't we looking at this? So
Yeah.
I actually have.
Oh,
Well, I was going to say I have Gerald Everett to the Titans.
Okay.
Very interesting, yeah. And I want to add one last second thing before we move on. I know we got to go. But I also want to keep an eye on Jimmy Graham as well, not for his relevancy, but for Cole Kmet. I'm a bigger Cole Kmet fan.
Okay.
I want to see Jimmy Graham gone.
Look, you're sitting in Joe's seat. You're not allowed to hype up Cole Kmet, Hutch.
I was gonna say,
You're
I did
not allowed to do
promise.
it. This is an anti-Cole Kmet show. Get on board, okay?
I did promise Joe that I would keep this show very anti-Cole Kmet, and I completely forgot.
I'm sorry.
Dun, dun, dun.
Obligatory mention that literally
I'm a
every
fan.
player we mentioned on today's
All right, what's
show.
the timestamp? 54 minutes. All right, I'm texting Joe right now.
I was going to say, though, obligatory mention that everyone we mentioned on today's show scored more touchdowns than Cole Kmet did last year.
Yeah, because Jimmy Graham, like they take Cole Kmet off the field and just use Jimmy Graham like inside the 10-yard line.
And what does that say about Cole Kmet? Why are you a fan? What is wrong with you?
I think Cole Kmet can still be used in the red zone if Jimmy Graham's gone. But I'm not like the hugest fan of
Nope.
Cole Kmet. Like if he
You
sneaks in the top 10, like middle round tight end kind of range, I'm gonna be out. But if he's still like a really deep sleeper tight end, like drafted like tight end 15 or later, I think I'm gonna be able
if I could get him in
as long as Jimmy Graham's gone.
If I could get him in the 30th, 34th round of a fantasy draft, I'll take a look at him. So.
Damn.
You guys are you gonna draft Chris Herndon over him?
I just want to use one round for every fantasy point he's going to score next year.
All right, yeah, I got you. You guys are the worst.
The look on Britt's face right now.
You guys are the worst. Wow. All right, so let's move on so you can stop making fun of me.
I say let's rapid
I
fire.
thought hazing was illegal, guys.
I say you could skip the teams, Hutch. We talked about them. We can rapid fire.
Yeah, we can talk with teams. So rapid fire, who lands where? Evan Ingram, Britt, we'll start with you here.
Packers.
Wow.
Ryan?
Yep.
So Evan Ingram was the one I'm interested in. I started thinking about this when I
Yes.
typed up the show notes.
Yes.
I think Evan Ingram is an excellent fit for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are a system built to run the spread offense, one running back. I think Ingram gives the ability to, he's not a great blocker, but he can inline block. He can move out to the slot. I think he's a perfect fit for that system. The Gronk rumors also make sense, and he's a much better blocker than Ingram. But for the speed of that offense, I'd like to see Evan Ingram there. I think it's great for fantasy.
I wasn't thinking Cincinnati until you mentioned that pre-show. The two teams that I had were the Chargers and the Packers, so I'll agree with Britt and go Packers.
Yeah, I'm with
So-
Ryan here. I'll say Cincinnati. I think he goes to Cincinnati. I think that'd be amazing.
So I just want to elaborate a little bit on why I'm picking the Packers. Like if Tunyon does leave in free agency, the amount of snaps blocked, like their blocking percentage and their target percentage is pretty much the same. But Green Bay differs from the Giants in that they're not going to run that Y stick route. They're going to need pass catchers because basically all of their pass catchers, aside from Devontae Adams, are leaving in free agency. And so I can definitely see him like sliding in that role and then utilizing him more. So
They also differ from the Giants and Daniel Jones to Aaron Rodgers.
oh God.
Yeah, that's a
Jones.
very big difference there. Yeah. All right. So next name, OJ Howard. Where is he going free agency? Britt.
I think that Gronk is probably either going to retire or go to Cincinnati. So I think that they're going to re-sign him on a really small deal. I think he ends up staying with the Bucks.
I'm with you.
I think Bucks are full rebuild, and I don't think OJ Howard's the guy they're going to go after. I have him. This feels like the guy goes to the Jets, unless I am completely wrong about the Jets, and then the other team would be the Titans. So I'm going to say Jets, but I could see him with the Titans.
Yeah, Howard is definitely not going back to Tampa. They spent a first-round pick on him and then said, you know what, you're still not good enough. We're going to bring in Gronk. So I think there's definitely some bad blood there just from a, I know my worth and I want to get paid kind of thing. I do like the Titans, but the one team that I mentioned, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I think that he's somebody that can play in line, that can help with the blocking, and then just be a sneaky, like, I'm gonna grab 5-10 yards and get a first down. And I think that's really what Justin Herbert needs. Find somebody underneath if Keenan Allen or Mike Williams or even Eckler can't get open. The safety valve.
Yeah, I like it.
And really, that's what Jared Cook was last year. And I think that Howard can do that better because he's younger.
Yeah, I had the Chargers and I had Tampa Bay on my list, but Joshua, that's a really good point. There might be some bad blood there. So I think I'll say Chargers then. I'll say Chargers. So let's go Rob Gronkowski. Britt, what are you doing here?
Oh, I think we've all established it's the Bengals or retirement.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's the Bills. I know I brought up the animosity, but I do think it's ring chasing, and I think Buffalo puts him in the best spot. So.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned already, do the WWE, Buffalo, or Cincy. So,
yeah, I was gonna make the joke, but I was saying he's gonna go to WWE.
There you go.
So let's go to Zach Ertz. Where does he land? I think we all in agreement here. Britt, where does he go?
I do have one option where I think he could go.
Oh,
okay,
go for it.
I say to dive in, Josh, because I'm just going to say the Cardinals.
If he doesn't re-sign with Arizona, which I do think he does, I think Tennessee would be a spot to where he could fit really well. It's a good coaching staff. It's a good city. It's a good environment. It's right up his alley, just from a community standpoint. So I think Tennessee would be a good fit. Again, that's if they actually want to bring in a tight end. I mean, you think A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, that's a pretty intriguing, like, hey, I want to be a part of that offense. So
yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah.
And from his years with Wentz, he's used to bad quarterback play, so he'll fit right in with Ryan Tannehill.
Perfect.
Oh,
So, Britt, you're saying Arizona?
yeah, Arizona for sure.
Yeah, I think Arizona as well, but I think the Tennessee would be interesting.
Yeah.
So let's go Gerald Everett. Where does he sign? Britt, where is he going?
I'm going Titans with him. I think he's that big body, kind of similar to Jonnu Smith, to Ferkser. They're letting everybody else go. I think that last year proved that they don't need to keep them. So they bring in some fresh blood, try to acclimate them to the system and see what turns up.
Ryan?
I'm sticking. I like Everett as a pass catcher. I want to put him in a high-powered offense. Give me him to the Chargers. I think he fits in great there where he'll get to be a fourth option in that offense. I don't know that it's going to be fantastic for fantasy purposes, but for the Chargers as an NFL team, I think it's a great move.
Joshua?
I kind of like him with the Jets. He'll be
that was my second team.
Yeah, he'll be 28 in June. Maybe a little older for what they want to do, but at a certain point, they have to bring in some veterans. He's played in systems where he can block, where he can pass catch. Again, I don't know if the Jets are ultimately going to be a fantasy friendly system, but he can get open. And we talk about this all the time. What's a young quarterback's best friend? A reliable tight end.
Tight end, man.
And Gerald Everett can get open. So I think he's better than anybody that was on the team last year that's hitting free agency and still on the team.
I say Zach Wilson needs all the friends he can get.
Yeah.
His only friend right now is probably his mom. Like everyone hates him.
Hutch, savage. Oh my god.
Everyone hates Zach Wilson right now. I'm actually hoping he could have a good season. But I'm rooting for him. But Gerald Everett, I would say the Jets. But if Zach Ertz were to leave Arizona, which I'm not predicting, but if he were to leave Arizona, I would like Arizona as a landing spot.
I don't mind that either.
So let's move to Tyler Conklin. Conklin. Wow. Britt, where is he going? I can't say anything today. Jeez. Britt, where is he going?
This is who I think goes to the Jets. I think that with Irv Smith coming back from IR, Conklin was primarily a blocking tight end until he was thrust into that role of a pass catching tight end. So I think he showed that he can do it. And with that dual ability, I think that that's something that the Jets need.
I think Conklin perfectly fits what Dawson Knox brought to Buffalo. Thus, I think he ends up in the Giants and Brian Daboll's system and a nice, boring offense. No good for fantasy, but if he scores the touchdowns, it'll be okay. He won't because the Giants don't score touchdowns.
Britt, I like what you're saying about, being a blocking tight end, showing that he can receive. That's why I think that he'll be looked at heavily by Tennessee.
Yeah, it's probably fair.
But another team that I think might be sneaky here, Carolina. They have just signed offensive woes. They did just re-sign Ian Thomas. I agree. Conklin's not going to be expensive, guys. Like, he has one good season. Like, I don't think he's going to get more than like $4 million a year, and I think even that's a stretch. But again, they want to be able to run the football. They want to be able to play good defense. They have shoddy quarterback play. You need as much protection as possible. You run 2 tight end sets, give Christian McCaffrey the football. Tyler Conklin can help in that instance.
Yeah, I can't believe you said it because that was the number one team on my list. I had Tyler Conklin going to Carolina. I actually like it.
Interesting.
I actually like it. I can't believe you said that, but I think that's actually a really nice fit for pretty much every reason you said. And I think he could potentially be relevant on there. Like, honestly, I feel like, with a struggling quarterback, they're going to look to a bigger body, which is the tight end position, and that's Tyler Conklin. So I actually think Carolina would be a good landing spot. Also, I think the Titans would be a solid landing spot. So let's move on here. Last tight end here, Robert Tonyan. Britt, where does he go, and do you even care?
Oh, gosh. I think, again, Tonyan could be a sneaky good fit for the Jets. I mean, they need pass catchers. He blocked, I think, like 35% of his snaps with the Packers. He's got that dual kind of skill set. And the Jets, again, we've said this multiple times, they need all the help that they can get on the offensive side.
I think the Packers got to do something to keep some faces around for Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think Tunyon's going to be terribly expensive, so I think he stays in Green Bay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Ryan. This whole thing is we're going to make Rodgers happy. We're going to run it back, and we're going to be in a position to make the Super Bowl. And we brought it up earlier. At this point, there are no good quarterbacks left in the NFC. It is Aaron Rodgers in the field.
Yeah.
So, and yes, that's sorry, slap in the face to Dak Prescott.
And Kyler Murray. I was like, good Lord.
Matthew Stafford?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I guess we can throw him in there.
I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. And we've
won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. We've already forgotten about it. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, that's kind of the point. Like, most of the good quarterbacks now aren't living in the NFC.
That's very true.
Yes, especially the younger rising quarterbacks. Like, all the young up-and-coming quarterbacks are in the
They're all in the
NFC.
NFC.
Like, the two names, like the couple of names we just mentioned, Rodgers and Stafford, like, they're all, like, on the way out a little bit. So soon Jalen Hurts is going to be the best quarterback in the NFC.
And Tunyon is Rodgers' guy. So, coming off the injury, I don't think he's going to be terribly expensive. They'll run it back with Tunyon.
I will throw out one thing. If I'm a year late and a year wrong on the Jets, Britt could be absolutely right because Tunyon is Kittle's boy. And so I'm just going to keep riding that San Francisco train, and I could see that happening successfully. So
We agreed.
Yes, we did it.
Hey, it only took 66 minutes, but we got there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you guys. I think Tunyon resigns. I also think the Titans are a sneaky team to maybe look at him as well, but I think he resigns.
Don't sleep on Denver either. I mean, they could add a second tight end to that offense.
They really could. Yeah, I mean, they have nobody behind Alberto. Like, they have nobody.
Yeah. So.
And then everyone's Alberto hopes and dreams of the crushed
dynasty shares
instantly.
Gonna call it right now. Greg Dulcich, West Coast offense. Let's go, baby.
Ooh. All right.
Well, I was gonna say it's a very interesting because again, we just said we don't even know if they're gonna use the tight end, but Green Bay used a ton of sets where Mercedes Lewis and Robert Tunyon were out there, so we could end up seeing where it could be an important thing. So
yeah, who knows?
All right. I mean, any last thing you guys want to add?
That's it, man. That's all I got. I can't speak for everybody else.
Let's take us home.
All right. That's it, everybody. Big thanks to Britt for coming on. Please, Britt, tell the people where they can find you on Twitter and tell the people where they can find the rest of your content.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Britt_Flinn. And as of 2 weeks ago, you can also find my content on Fantasy Alarm, which is super exciting. I'm so happy to be a part of them. Also, every Wednesday night, actually in about an hour and 20 minutes, we do Lightning Round Fantasy at LR Fantasy on Twitter. And myself, Kevin Tompkins, and Andrew Cooper, plus a lot of really awesome guests are going to be breaking down off-season content. So tune into that as well.
All right. And you all can go follow me on Twitter at TYFMNFL. And I just joined, I'm a writer for DLF. And I just joined the Football Guys team, and I'm going to be, I think for the start, I'm going to be making
Ryan's coworker. Look at that.
Right.
Yeah. I think for the start, I'm going to be making weekly videos, like short videos for their YouTube channel. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to be starting, but I'll keep you all updated on that. And check out the Young Fantasy Mind Football podcast, the podcast I host pretty much anywhere podcasts be found. So I'd really appreciate if you go check that out. But that's it. Next week, it's free agency signings are going to be becoming official Wednesday, March 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern. But the legal tampering period begins on Monday, March 14th.
We'll know where all the big names are after Monday.
We'll know the big ends after then.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll know all the big names, and we're going to be bringing, and Club Fantasy here, no pun intended, is going to be bringing on Kate Majuk. I actually had just had Kate Majuk on my podcast.
That's why I thought it was synergy. It was just meant to be. Like,
on Tuesday, the new episode came out. I just had Kate on my podcast. And so next week, they're going to be breaking down all the free agent signings, all the big-time free agent signings. And Joe will return as the second best host of this show. And we'll talk about all the fantasy impacts of those free agent moves. So you all can go follow Club Fantasy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, the website is clubfantasyffl.com. If you miss Kelly Singh, sorry, I'm going to say that last name wrong.
No, you said it.
You got it right. Kelly Singh.
Singh? Okay. The H confuses me. The Kelly Singh, they see me Poland. It's also available on womenoffantasyfootball.com. For Britt Flinn, Ryan, Josh, and myself, thank you for joining us. The guys are joined by Kate Majuk of Ball Blast Football next week, so make sure you tune into that. No pun intended next week. And always remember that I think this is the first time I've ever said this hosting. I'm always forgetting it. Defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy. We'll see you guys next week, or they will. I won't be there.
Appreciate you, folks.
See ya.
Have a great night.